Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, myself and Sam Muscroft are sitting down to discuss the best and worst parts of the 2018 gaming market. Obviously, we've got the podcast James Plays, and that's where JK gets the opportunity to sit down and discuss games that he's playing, games that come out, games that are around at the time. Also, myself and Sam spend a lot of time talking about games and how, quite frankly, how poor the game market is at the moment. So we'd been talking about, we wanted to do like a review of 2018 because we feel it's probably the worst year for games, and sort of get that off our chests. I have a lot of... probably rage is the word to describe the way I feel about games at the moment. So yeah, I wanted to get it out. Sam wanted to talk about it, so that's what we've done. So yeah, see what we think to 2018. See what you think to 2018 as far as games are concerned. So this is Gamecast, I guess, from myself and Sam Muscroft.
I sit here, I can sit on the settee.
1, 2, 3. Whoa, Jakey Monkey. 1, 2, 3. And the other thing that I find that I used to check all the time, then I stopped checking, then I got bitten by not checking, is I feel I have to check that the sound is working. Just a recent thing, because there's been weird sound sort of stuff. There was the day that I went, oh, you know what's a really good idea to record a podcast by putting a mobile phone that was in use right next to the microphone. So the entire podcast was just like, I was like, yes. Right then, it's podcast time. Let's do this. I'm not giving it one of them anymore. Don't do that shit. As we can see, definitely NFL podcast. It's not an NFL podcast. Sam, name an American football team. Go.
The Alabama Shithawks.
Oh God, I wish that was a fucking team. Oh man, you could have gone with the Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons,
The Denver Broncos.
the Denver Broncos. That's a nice non-branded water. So, today we're doing, it's a new year. I made my first podcast with a different year on the tag. You have to like put information in and then add it as like a tag to the video. And I've done 2 now that have a different year on.
This year will definitely be better than the last one.
New year, new me. Gonna get in the gym and, lose all this weight.
I probably should go to the gym and, stop eating crisps all the time, but that's a lot of... It's a small amount of effort, and that's just more than I can bring myself to do.
Because, the different efforts between and, going to the gym, that was like worlds apart. I can't talk. I was at the gym. I don't want to say 2 o'clock in the morning this morning, but...
The thing is, I imagine going to the gym, it's the same way that I like going shopping on a Friday evening at 8 o'clock, because there's no fucker there. And I'm not going to say it's good, but you know what I mean? It's just like, oh God, thank God, no people.
Yeah, so I went to the gym the other night and I walked in and there was like the TV was on and I looked and I went, Flatliners. Flatliners was on BBC One. So I put it on when I was on the treadmill and I was like, there's nobody else here. This film's a little bit creepy.
Isn't Flatliners a great film? It's got lots of shots in it.
It's a great film.
Oh, who's in it?
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Keith Sutherland.
That's who I was thinking of, Keith Sutherland.
Julia Roberts. One of the Baldwins. Don't
I don't think it's Alec. But then...
Alec Baldwin.
Anyway,
yeah, I think we're actually off topic already.
We're already off
This is a retrospective of the wonderful year that was 2018.
Wonderful year that was 2018 in a computer game world.
Usually, of course, it's Mr. Keep who does the video games. As far as I'm aware, he will be back on there.
And he will, but you and I have been talking for quite some time about a certain number of games, certain types of games, certain stuff. And I think I certainly felt I needed to get some stuff off my chest.
So this one's pretty much going to be the year in review as far as video games are concerned. And I'm going to put it right out there that I don't think 2018 was the greatest year we've had for games.
Wasn't the best of years. Just before we get started, I do want to say quick shout out to all the game developers out there, and I want to say, sort your fucking shit out. You are a fucking atrocity at the moment. Some of the stuff
is it
that
developers though, or is it publishers? It's very different.
Give a shit who it is. Some of the stuff that you have tried to pass off at what is now £50 games, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. And here's why. Like I said to you before we started this, I have got seething rage on this subject.
If it was 50 quid for the game, I'd actually be less bothered. The problem is when you've got stuff like Assassin's Creed Odyssey that's also charging you 10 quid for an XP booster, as well as all the bullshit on top.
So I didn't know anything about this until you'd mentioned it, and it did taint my... another thing I need to get out on Front Street is I owe Assassin's Creed Odyssey an apology. I did a review of the game when I shouldn't have done because I'd only been playing it a short amount of time. And I reviewed it and went, this isn't good and that's not good and the other's not good. I can happily say I've played it and I think I finished it. It's a weird one that it doesn't give you... I haven't had any credits, but I've looked up online and I've had all of the endings, so I'm a bit like, I guess I finished it. That game is one of the best games I've played in a while.
You could say it's one of the best games of the year, but I feel that might be a bit of a backhanded compliment.
There are games on a list, best games of the year, but as...
We can only really go through what we've actually played.
That is true. As our podcast WhatsApp group will attest to, I have a lot to say about the best games of the year, and that's generally those games are good, but they're not the best. And again, that comes back to they probably are the best games of this year, but if they're not as good as we're told they are, then does that really make them? Should we use the word best?
How about we just go through it in review then? Because I'm trying to even remember what came out this year. So it feels like the first half of the year. What actually came out?
It was there was a load of tumbleweeds and that wind that rolls through, generally accompanying the tumbleweeds. There was a lot of that. There was months.
It felt like there was nothing in the early parts of the year. Especially I thought 2017 had some really strong games in there. Because Nintendo were basically on fire for that whole year with the Switch. Sony has plenty of first party good stuff, and it felt like there was a lot of neat games. And then 2018 just feels like such a meh. Like, even the games I was excited for have all been underwhelming at best.
Yeah. So I've got, like I said, I think we're doing this because I have a lot to say on this subject at this point in time. You and I have spoken a lot about some stuff, and I've saved some stuff because I wanted to get it out into the public eye, because to me, this is a lot of this is the only way people are really going to learn. We could sit and probably do an entire podcast on the shit show that is Fallout 76.
I've not played Fallout 76.
Oh, you and everyone else.
Because I feel like, yes, I could rag on it, but I've not played it. I don't intend to play it because it looks like a complete shit show. I
had a very long conversation with a friend of mine. I about
I've heard nothing but dreadful
Fallout
things.
76 and how, you know,
I'm surprised Bethesda even let it come out in the state that it has, because it can't be like, yeah, it's probably made money for them, but it can't, like, it's just dragged their name through the mud.
yeah, they've taken a kicking for it, but I imagine one of the biggest game companies in the world probably isn't going to give too much of a shit about that. But like my mate was saying, Bethesda do this thing where they make a subpar game that's got loads of glitches and bugs and major issues, and then they release it into the ether and allow their community to fix it.
Yeah, it's mod fixed. Like, God, you wouldn't play. Like, I wouldn't want to play Skyrim without mods. In fact, I never have done. I've always expected, if nothing else, as someone who has fixed all the balance problems. And then, yeah, but the problem is with Fallout 76 is you can't mod it, of course, it's an online game.
Yeah, so there's going to be that aspect of it. I mean, we're on track and off track at the same time. I'm a console gamer. My latest PC incarnation doesn't have a graphics card because it's not for playing games. You are a member of
very much a PC. I'm very much. I try to go where the games are. I don't own a console this generation, but primarily it's because I don't want to spend the money on them. But I do feel like this year in particular has been very much the year of consoles. Because there are 4 big games this year that I would love to... I think you've played all of them, so I'll probably discuss them at some point. That I would love to play, and none of them are on the PC. That would be God of War,
So I've got
Spider-Man.
I've got stuff to say about Spider-Man.
Super Smash Brothers, and the new Pokemon. You're probably less bothered about those, but they're big games and I would really like to play them.
They are big games, and they've been sold as that, you know, especially Super Smash Brothers with its whole every character and then, you know, wait a few weeks.
And then what's come out like? Because the only thing that... Oh, the other one, of course, is Red Dead Redemption 2. No PC release.
I also have stuff to say about that.
So that's 5 big games that have just not even been anywhere close to the PC.
I will also be venting my frustration around... I got 2 games for Christmas. That's all I really asked for. Well, there was like other bits and pieces, you know, I got a jersey and stuff, I got a couple of jerseys. But I was like, I want my games because that's what I do. I like to ask for a game or games at Christmas, and then I generally get games or games at Christmas. So that to me is a thing. So Christmas, you get a game. I got 2 games. Those 2 games were Darksiders 3 and Just Cause 4.
Oof, okay.
And I have a lot to say about both of them, and don't want to spoil it too soon, but none of it is good.
Again, I've heard dreadful things about Just Cause 4.
We'll get on to that. I almost feel like I should have done at least some kind of prep by Googling games that came out in 2018.
I know roughly what came out in 2018, but obviously I can only go what I played. It feels like maybe you want to start with what did you play this year that you would actually recommend playing that came out this year.
Games that came out this year that I would recommend playing. Unfortunately, this is a situation where, and this is what I was talking about before, anything I've played this year that I would recommend, the majority of them come with a caveat. So you were part of the conversation when Paul said, my brother got a PS4 for Christmas, want to get a game because it's his birthday straight after Christmas, want to get him a game, don't really care if it's second-hand and stuff like that. So a list of games appeared. I think Ed kicked it off by going, here's a list of games that you can get that are like, you know, they were games from this year. And then I pulled apart each one of those games by saying, yes, it's good, but, yes, it's good, but, and what a surprise, yes, it's good, but.
It's very rare that you could you play a game that you're just like, this was just absolutely amazing from start to finish.
So the game I recommended, and as I'm sure you'll have seen, and this podcast will be no surprise. I imagine anybody who listens to or watches this podcast can guess the game I'm going to say I recommended, because I recommended one of the best games I've played in the last 10 years, which was Ghost Recon.
Did that come out this year?
No.
I was just saying, it's quite new, isn't it?
It is. And that's kind of where I'm going with this, because Ghost Recon stands out so much and so well because it was such a good game and it was so well made. And go back and watch every other podcast I've ever spoken about this game. Anything that's come out this year, I have issues with. Anything. Name a game.
I think about which came out first. Was it Spider-Man or was it God of War? I feel like they weren't that far apart. They probably
weren't. And I'm going to say God of War.
Came out first?
Yes.
Let's go with God of War first then, because I was super psyched about God of War. It looks great, because like if you want like single player, story-driven action games, you kind of shit out of luck now. They just don't really make them anymore.
Single player? What's that again?
Yeah.
Exactly. If your game hasn't got a multiplayer aspect on it, nobody cares. Apparently, nobody cares. Again, I'm addressing any games developer that's rushing.
But then God of War sold like 1 billion copies, and Spider-Man sold 1 billion copies.
So, what you're saying there, Sam, let me just make sure I'm getting this correct, is that there is a market for single player.
We repeatedly see this in the game market, where, there's no market for X. And then, because like from a PC perspective, there's no market for old school PC RPGs like Baldur's Gate and all that sort of stuff. And then Pillars of Eternity and Divinity Original Sin came out, sold like gangbusters. Like, I guess there is a market.
Oh yeah. Do you remember when they released?
They don't seem like no one seems to do the market research. They just seem to just decide that there's no market for them based on nothing.
You and I had a conversation about. So at some point I'm going to talk about the only 2 games that I'm waiting for, the only 2 games I'm looking forward to, and the only 2 games that I'm almost definitely going to be disappointed by. One of those 2 games, this is why I'm getting this out sort of early, is because again they haven't been released yet. One of those games is Anthem. You've had a lot to say on Anthem, I've had a lot to say on Anthem.
It's EA and I just don't trust it to be anything other than terrible.
Also, let's throw out the BioWare thing.
It's EA. When was BioWare's last good game? Genuinely.
Mass Effect
2. Because everything else has been okay, but
me and Mass Effect 2 fell out hard. We fell out.
It's a great. I love Mass Effect 2, and I think it's a really excellent game.
And unfortunately, that meant that I never played Mass Effect 3, even though I owned a copy. When I sold that copy, it was sold in
Again,
cellophane.
very much has its problems. But Dragon Age 2, that was buggy and unfinished. Dragon Age Inquisition, I hated. Absolutely hated Dragon Age Inquisition.
So Dragon Age 2, Inquisition, Jesus, what
I was so bored
wreck of a
all
game
the way
that
through.
was.
It came out about the same time as The Witcher 3, and The Witcher 3 is so much better in every way that it's almost embarrassing.
Do you know with that feeling when you're playing a game and you're like, but they could have done this, and it would have been better.
It's such a cult.
That is that game.
Such a cult. It obviously feels like it was meant to be an MMO or something.
Yeah.
And then they sort of they've got all these assets, and they obviously just threw it into a single player game. I hated it.
Yeah.
And what came out after they did the Old Republic, which was an MMO and was generally
everybody raves. And
then they did Mass Effect Andromeda, which is genuinely awful. And I played it for free because they were giving 10 hours away for free on Origin on the PC, and I think I played about 4 hours of it. I thought we'll give it a chance, and it's just awful. Like, every component of it is dreadful. The writing is dreadful. The acting is dreadful. The game is boring. It's a boring open world game
sounds exactly what we want from our games these days.
So I look at Anthem, and I think the trailer looks neat. It's got jetpacks and Space Marines. How bad can it be? And all I can think of, this is just going to be Destiny, isn't it?
So this is what you've said. Now, for me, from the other side of the fence, I own both Destinies. I bought a special edition of the first one, which gave me some of the DLCs. Admittedly, I don't think I've played all of the DLCs either. You get like.
I heard they got better after the DLCs.
And I own a copy of Destiny 2 and played it so far. I was down with Destiny, but like a lot of games of that sort of ilk, I get to a point and I go, oh, so now you want me to play online with other people? Cool, because I don't like that.
It was designed as an online game, in
It
fairness.
was, but it had a single player element, and it wasn't too invasive. The thing I did like about Destiny was at the point it forces you to play online, you can play with 2 other people and not say a word to them, and as long as you're in a group, I've been in groups with people, it's like, how have you got this far in the game? And I've been in groups with people, it's like, fucking hell, these guys are great.
Korean cyborgs.
Yeah. So I played both Destinies. Anthem for me is a game where I'm like, yeah, looks cool. Do you want to play a game where you basically are Iron Man?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of Dark Void. I'm sure no one else in the entire world played Dark Void, but that was a game with a jetpack, and it reminds me a little bit of that.
I just like the transition between like air, land, and underwater all through the sea.
It could be cool. I just don't trust EA. I don't trust BioWare.
No, and I don't. But 2 things. One, I saw a video yesterday of new gameplay footage which showed, pretty sure it showed 3 suits that I've not seen at this point in time, and those suits look super, like one of them I was like, there's no way that's in the game, and then they showed like gameplay footage, I was like, that suit is super cool, it's got like all moving things on the back, it looked awesome. I don't know if they're doing like you can, I don't want to say it like this, but you can dress up your suit, because one suit, a guy was
Blink.
like, yeah.
Blink out suit. Gosh, you got Blink out suit, man.
Yeah. So there are things like, alright. Watching the gameplay footage, I'm like, I'm down with this game. I did the alpha. I think I signed a non-disclosure agreement, but I think it has a statute of limitations, so I'm not sure. I played the alpha. And they did the opposite to what Destiny did. When Destiny did their alpha, they went, here's like 80 hours of the game, so, go nuts. And then they released the game later, and I'm like, I've played loads of this. They gave you too much in the alpha. Anthem did the opposite. They didn't give you enough. Obviously, always leave people wanting more. I played the alpha, and I imagine the beta will be along fairly soon, because it's out next month.
Yeah, it's out very shortly.
So I'm on board with this game. You're like, it's EA, it's BioWare, fuck them guys. The only thing
I'm not inherently. I just don't trust them. Like, if it is good. I don't want a bad game. Believe it or not, I would love to have like a good game to play. Frankly,
it was. So they announced this game a long time ago, and I was on board then. And then there's been various things, and then there was the point where they went, right. So this is what the game's going to be. It's going to be like single player, no multiplayer. This, no multiplayer. That. There's none of this. There's none of that. All the stuff that makes money. They've gone, we're not doing any of that. And the world was in uproar, and I went, that sounds fucking brilliant. It's like, I think you can play with your mates and stuff, but there's no...
Isn't it more like I think sort of grouping in the sense, like, something like Borderlands maybe, where you can just you can run it solo if you want.
Yeah. And I'm a single player kind of guy, I hate multiplayer.
I like playing multiplayer, I do play multiplayer like online, I like playing with friends.
Yeah, but my point is, I've always been in that scenario of my friends, that's not friends, but my friends, my game playing friends, never play games when I play games. So, like, I'll be like, oh, you've got that game, I've got that game, let's play. What time do you want to play? I'm playing at 8, I'm going to be at the gym at that point. Alright, well, I'll play at 10, I'll be doing this at that point. Alright, cool. I'm like, so what? Let's play at midnight, I'll be in bed. Okay. So we'll never play that game, and that's my version of multiplayer. But my game playing friends don't play when I play, so even that doesn't work for me.
I find 8 till 10 is like your prime game playing time for most people.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So we've already jumped a year into the future.
We've talked about Anthem and sort of.
I'll tell you about my other game that I'm super looking forward to. That's almost definitely going to be really disappointing. My guess is that this one's going to become really repetitive and it's going to be really short. Those are my predictions. Anyway, let's bring it back to 2018, last year, as it is now. I mean, we're on the 5th. So it was last year. Pick a game.
We did pick a game. It was God of War.
Okay. God of War. I would consider myself to be a big God of War fan. I have played, owned, re-owned, rebought. I've owned 3 completely separate copies of God of War 3.
That's the one I've not played. I played 1 and 2 on the PS2, but I never played the third one.
God of War 3 is on. If I had to pick, if I had to list out the top 10 games ever, God of War 3 is on there, and it's high on the list. God of War 3 is a thing.
That might be an interesting podcast, because I constantly like review like what would I consider to be my top 10 games. That's something for another time, perhaps.
I would fully agree with that, because I imagine some of you, it's kind of like some of your lower ones will change, and also like your top ones. But if somebody was like gun to your head, what's your favorite all time game? I don't know if I could answer that question, but I could do a list of 10, and that list probably wouldn't change all that much.
I would like to think that because it's tough to get nostalgia out as well, because and I don't think nostalgia should be completely discounted either. Like, it's just like saying, it's like, I always work with the idea, is like, the game has to hold up and still be excellent. But if that game is also incredibly important to you in other ways, that's also a fair enough thing to make it your favourite game.
You know.
Like, don't look me in the eye and tell me that GoldenEye is your favourite game of all time, because it's fucking dog shit and it's aged like mayonnaise in the sun.
Yeah.
But if you want to say Super Mario World or Sonic 3, sure, those games are great.
I would throw out a game where I'm already saying not even a favourite game, just a game that I have history with. You know, Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo. I have history with that game. I took an injury from that game on more.
And that's completely reasonable. And Street Fighter 2, it'd be hard to say that it doesn't hold up, because it does.
Yeah.
There's no. Anyway, imagine I've God of War again.
I played
You see that boring? Because we lost.
Right, let's get God of War out of the way, because we've got Spider-Man to do. Yeah. God of War. One game of the year.
I think
in certain circles.
Either it won Game of the Year, or Spider-Man won Game of the Year, or Red Dead Redemption won Game of the Year. It was usually one of them 3.
Oh.
But out of those games, God of War is the one. God of War is the one that looks really appealing to me. It looks like it's a classic, old school, fighty adventure, story-based game,
and you are correct.
And it's got the apparently it's very much got the, I think I described this in a podcast before, the anal bead level design, where you've got sort of linear sections that open up into sort of open areas, then a linear section. So
yeah.
Crisis calls it action bubbles, but I prefer to call it the anal bead level design.
Yeah, and I'm down with that. So here's my issue with God of War. God of War is a great game, but it's not the game that everybody will tell you it is.
I hear it's all, a feelsy action game.
Yeah. I have issues with certain aspects. The moment I knew that you were playing as Kratos, and I'm going to try not to spoil too much of this. You were playing as Kratos. Now, my original question was, is this a version of Kratos? Is this the original Kratos?
I hear it's very difficult to reconcile new Kratos versus old Kratos.
So, you've got this thing where you've got to go, who is he? And there was a point where, very early on when I was playing it, and they show you something, and you're like, ooh, hang on a minute. But that means it can't be 90% of my, what I thought this game was, or this character was. When I found out there was the kid, I'm like, what?
That a boy.
And they do you play through the whole game with a kid, right?
That's always been like a big selling point of it, though.
So
I knew about that like very early on.
It was a thing, and I'm already starting to tune out a little. I had a conversation with a lad that you and I work with, who I am aware of has also played God of War, along the lines of me going, I'm playing God of War again, and Jesus Christ, I'd forgotten X, I forgot why. So, in a lot of ways, at various points in time, the kid is a detractor. whichever way you want to slice it. And I'm not going, the kid ruins the game. That isn't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the kid is a detractor. The child, and again, this isn't a spoiler as such, but the child does sort of this in mentality. You know, he starts out as I'm a kid, and then a bit later he's like, I'm angry, and then a bit later he's like, oh, I'm sad, and then a bit later he's like, I'm strong, and you have to live through that whilst playing the game. And at points where you maybe don't want to have to deal with that shit, tough. So do you want to be playing a game where you're dealing with an angry teenager?
I'm not, because I know it's a story-based game that deals with the relationship between a father and child, which is actually kind of cool. I'm not sure God of War is perhaps the right place to do it, but I'm against the idea. One of my favourite games is the original Nier, and that's definitely, it's not father and son, it's father and daughter. And one of the reasons I love that game is because it's a really interesting portrayal of a man willing to do terrible, terrible things for his child.
Yeah, and that's a story we can get behind. You know, that's. I saw a picture the other day, and it was like 10 games where it turns out you're the bad guy, and I'm pretty sure that one
the original
of the
Nier
pictures,
was on there.
Yeah.
I love the original Nier. Again, I could go for it. I wish we would get a port because it's still only on the previous gen consoles.
Well, I've seen something this morning that I'm super excited about, which kind of ties into this. I'm already like, this podcast is like 3 hours long. I'm already like, I've got so.
We might have to
abandon it. I saw this morning they're doing a HD port, or have done. Apparently, it's out in like days. They've done a HD port of the original Hitman games, and I'm like, well, this was a beauty. I bought the HD collection of Hitman that was available on the PS3. One of the games you couldn't play because it was that, you know, you were saying about the 60 frame rate to the 50 frame rate thing.
Oh yeah, it goes from 60 hertz to because in your TVs, a lot of them can't display 50 hertz properly now.
So there was 3 games on there, which I think was like 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, and Absolution or something. And one of them, the one I really wanted to play, the one I bought the HD collection for, I couldn't play. Wouldn't allow you to play it. I was like, how has this been done? So now they've got 4K ported versions.
Remasters.
And I'm like, I'm super excited about this. Can you guess what game I'm playing at the moment? I'm playing Hitman. And Hitman 2. But I'm not playing Hitman 2 because Hitman 2 doesn't want you to play Hitman 2. It wants you to play Hitman 1.
I've not heard good things about the second Hitman.
Did you catch that? Because if you want, I can go through that again. Hitman 2 wants you to play Hitman 1. That's not a joke. Do you know how Hitman 2 starts? Play the training from Hitman 1. Training from Hitman 1 is the same level twice and then a different level. But if you played the first one, you're doing the training from the first one in the second one. And then the second one goes, did you play the first game? Played some of it. Play it. Play it all now. Yeah. Again, another subject that I could go on for a little while.
Hitman 2 was one of the games that came out this year.
Hitman 2 was a game that came out this year.
Have you played it?
Have I played it?
Let's move on to Hitman 2 then, while we're on it. Is it worth...
I haven't finished with God of War. We haven't talked about Spider-Man yet. Can't get on to Hitman. Do you want to talk about Infamous Second Son as well? Because that's what's going to annoy me.
Even when Second Son came out 1,000,000 years ago.
I know! So, Jesus Christ, I'm jumping around. Right, I feel like I need a whiteboard at this point in time. Let's finish God of War. I will recommend God of War to anybody, and have done in
It's one of the reasons... at this point, I'm wondering, is it worth picking up a PS4?
I've said to you...
It's at the end of its life cycle.
You are more than welcome to come to my house and play any of the games that you want to play.
It's more if there is backwards compatibility in the PS5, would that be a better shout than picking up a PS4 Pro
Almost definitely.
this late in the day?
Almost definitely.
But there are a lot of excellent exclusives on the PS4, because I reckon now there's a lot. There's a lot of games that are really worth the time, because they've knocked it out the park this year, and honestly, the first party exclusives on the PS4, they've been knocking it out for the last few years.
So, God of War, let's boil it down to its basics. God of War, should you buy it? Yes, you should. Should you play it? Yes, you should. Is it the game that you've been told it is? No, it isn't. And the difference between God of War and something like God of War 3 is, when I played God of War 3 for the first time, and I think, again, statute of limitations on spoilers, the game God of War 3 starts with you climbing up the back of Gaia, who's a Titan, and when you see it on the screen, you're like...
They're very different games, though. The way that they play, they're very different.
Yes. You have never seen scale like God of War 3. I've never seen scale.
But God of War is a flashy spectacle fighter, and the new God of War is a more slow pace,
it's a slow
more deliberate.
It's a slow burn. It really is more about the story, and it's certainly more about the characters. I
know what I knew that though. I knew it wasn't going to be God of War 1, 2, and 3.
Want to spoil anything, but I can't say something without spoiling it. There's a character you meet at the beginning of a game called The Stranger. For anybody who's played it, they'll know what that means. But the character at the beginning of the game is called The Stranger, and you interact with The Stranger, and that is probably the standout moment in that game, and it's the first thing in it. People by now will have seen the whole world serpent thing. The conversation I was having at work the other day was like, the world serpent is supposed to be like a snake that goes around the world, and as far as scale was concerned, it was like, that thing's tiny in comparison to when you play God of War 3 and you've got the Titans and stuff. God of War 3, go out and buy it if you haven't, go out and play it if you have the option to play it. But my caveat for God of War 3 is, it's not the game that people tell you it is. It's certainly not the game it's reviewed to be. I had this with films recently. I watched a film the other day that had been quite badly reviewed, and I really enjoyed it.
Films are more difficult. I say films are a lot more subjective.
They are subjective.
Because, games are subjective too, but games have there are very key design things in games where you can say this game is poorly designed, or whereas with a film, it's less easy to say that sort of thing. No, should we move on to Spider-Man then?
Fucking hell, you really hit me with it today, aren't you?
Well, I've not played them. I haven't been able to play them because dirty PC gamer, aren't I?
So Spider-Man, funnily enough, Spider-Man gets the same review as God of War. Spider-Man is a great game. It really is. It's and everybody by now will have seen the review that says, if you want to feel like Spider-Man swinging through New York, that game does it.
I've heard it's the best Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube.
It is. It definitely is. However, it's not the game everybody tells you it is. And here's why. Because when I pick the box up and it says Spider-Man on the front, do I want to not play as Spider-Man? And I don't mean, do I have an issue playing as Peter Parker? Because ironically, no, I don't. I don't have an issue playing as Peter Parker because those bits were fun because it was go in the lab and do a puzzle. And those puzzles were able to be done by me, so, not the hardest puzzles in the world. And they were fun. It was fun to do. I enjoyed doing the puzzles, what are they called, like pipe games, where you've got to connect the pipe.
Oh, Pipe Dream. Like the hacking minigame from Bioshock.
Yeah. So think about those sorts of games. Those are your puzzles. Again, I'm not spoiling anything to tell you that there's some puzzle bits in. And it gives you here's the 5 you have to do. There's another 20 that you can do the option of if you want, because you'll get something at the end of it. I think you get a suit for doing, and that's one of the cool things about Spider-Man, all the different suits.
I hear there's like a million of them. I saw the animated version. It looks really. I wish the whole game looked like that.
When you get so you get a cartoon suit.
Yeah, but can you imagine the whole game looked like that?
Yeah, and it's super fun to run around in the cartoon. So I spent ages wearing that suit. There's they've recently updated it with the Sam Raimi
I saw
Spider-Man, which is kind of, you just put it on for 5 minutes and run around. The suit stuff, super cool. The gadgets that you can attach to your suits and the mods for those gadgets, great. My personal favourite is Spider Bro, which is like a drone that shoots people. Super fun, super cool. Great game. At no point am I going to say that these games aren't great. They're just not what everyone tells you they are. And the problem being is that when you pick up the box and it says Spider-Man, do I want to be Peter Parker? Not all the time, but I didn't mind it.
It's a nice change of pace.
Do I want to be Spider-Man? Pretty much, yeah. Do I want to be Mary Jane?
No one was ever, not even Mary Jane has wanted to be Mary Jane, I think, a lot of the time.
Did anybody say, fucking Spider-Man, yeah, I can't wait to play as Mary Jane? No. Nobody has ever said that. Nobody would ever say that. Do you know what they would say? They would say, I can't wait to play as Miles Morales. No, they wouldn't say that either. If you make a game called Spider-Man and you're not playing as Spider-Man, what's the fucking point? Honestly, again, huge, and I cannot stress this enough, huge detractors in that game are those fucking bits. I swear down.
But worth a play, probably.
Definitely worth a buy, definitely worth a play. Be aware of the bits where you're not Spider-Man or Peter Parker. Those bits suck donkey balls and because every game should be 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 for you, 10 out of 10 for me. Every game should be
That's
10
completely
out
unreasonable.
of 10.
Completely unreasonable. How many games do you play that you think that was absolutely amazing from start to finish? Very, very few.
Yeah,
One every 5 years, maybe.
That's the problem. This is what I'm talking about. You want me to take £50 of my hard-earned money and give it to you for subpar games, and like
there's a big difference between being subpar and having bits I didn't like.
When we get onto the other games, Darksiders and Just Cause 4. Like I say, I don't want to say Christmas was ruined, but I have a lot of issues with games at the moment. You and I spoke about, like say, a lad we work with who had sort of had that horrible crushing realization that games probably suck balls. And then if you're a gamer and that's what you do, you go to work and you go and do whatever, and then to relax and to chill out, you play games.
Yeah.
If a chunk of your life sucks balls, then you're like, well, what's that?
This is something I want to come on to later, is that I don't think the game industry universally sucks. I think that the big budget game industry universally sucks. Because I played some excellent games this year, and none of them were from big publishers.
So you're a big indie gamer, and I've never quite ever really got on board with the indie game market. Now, there are some games I've played that I've really enjoyed that are very indie, and then there are some games that I've played that I've hated that are indie.
I do enjoy old school games of sensibilities, and yeah, there's been the indie market has been really, really productive this year. Some great stuff come out. But I've looked at the AAA market and the big budget market, and I've just thought, I think the only big budget game I picked up this year, which we might as well get onto this now, is, I think we might have mentioned it previously, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's the only one I picked up.
I have also played that game. Oh God, what a train wreck of a game that was.
It's not even a train wreck. At least I could say something about a train wreck. It's just so average. I would say it's worse than Rise of the Tomb Raider, which itself wasn't exactly setting the world on fire either.
I hated that game.
But Shadow of the Tomb Raider, people complain about the new Tomb Raider games. They're not proper Tomb Raider games, really. The shooty bang bang were the Uncharted games. The shooty bang bang, you climb around a bit, solve a brain dead puzzle, and then off you go. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it's like most of the combat is gone. You've got maybe, a quarter of the combat that you would have in previous Tomb Raider games, if that.
So this
you could go for hours without, even taking the shrink wrap off your gun.
Yeah, there was a big thing about, we've taken away the combat because people didn't want the combat, and we've put more puzzles in and more sneaking around and more this and that, and I'm like, oh, you're really selling this to me.
That would have sold that to me, because I do want more puzzles, and I do... Stealth I don't particularly want, but I play a Tomb Raider game to play a massive, elaborate puzzle. That's what they were. The Tomb Raider Anniversary is an amazing game, because it's just a massive machine that you've got to work out how it all works. So Shadow of the Tomb Raider is like, cool, I'm down with this, except they didn't have the balls to actually commit to it.
No, they didn't.
So what they do is they stripped out all the combat and they put nothing in its place.
They replaced it with nothing, which essentially, if you remove what could be considered to be half of the mechanics of the game, but don't put anything in its place, all you did was take half.
No, they did. No, I'm being unfair. They did replace it with something. They replaced it with fucking awful side quests. Absolutely terrible.
Did you like the bits where you turn up at a village and then put your guns away and can't have your guns and can't use them? But at least you get to wander around talking to people.
Well,
because that's what I bought that game for.
Even like in the beginning, you're sort of disguised in this village earlier on. So you can only use your bow and arrow when you do stuff, so because you're in disguise, fine. But then, you're outing not too long after, and you're just walking around in plain sight. Except you're still not allowed to use your guns, and there's no reason for this.
No. There's a cutscene at the beginning of all of the.
That whole the game is basically split into three. So you've got the beginning, and the middle section. You're in sort of a lost civilization village. And that's where the bulk of these side quests are, and it's such a slog.
I tried to do one of the side quests. They released the guy from prison. I got so far through it, and I'm like...
So boring.
You are giving me nothing here. I couldn't work it out. It was like, you need to go somewhere, you need to go and do something, you need to... Yeah, and it was like, but you're giving me nothing.
I didn't find them particularly difficult to do. I just found them very boring. It's like, if the game obviously feels that the story elements are the reward, except I couldn't give a single shit about any of these motherfuckers.
No. When we were talking about it at the time you were playing it, it was like, white privilege the game.
Oh, Mighty Whitey the game, where you come to this lost civilization who's never seen a white person in their whole life. But as best I can tell, before you come there, God only knows how they solved any of their problems. It's like, I've lost my toy. It's like, well, go and find it. It's like, but you look all white and stuff, so I reckon you can probably find the toy better than me, because I'm all brown and don't know how to do stuff for myself.
And that's not a joke.
No, it's not.
No, that is a review of the game in its entirety.
It's really uncomfortable.
It's very... you look a bit white. Can you come and solve some problems for us that we can't solve ourselves? Yeah, I guess.
But I quite liked... I actually think they've been on a downward trend. So I quite like both the Rise of Tomb Raider and the first one. They're not amazing, but they're good, solid action-adventure games. You know what I mean? They're quite well made.
I really enjoyed the first one because I think I felt, it's fresh, it's new, it's not new, it's new Tomb Raider.
It's quite well designed, the map all crisscrosses with itself. It's quite a nicely designed, tight little game.
I played it a couple of times, I might have even played it 3 times, start to finish, and just enjoyed it.
I 100%ed both.
Hated the second one with a passion. Now you and I have had this conversation.
Yeah, I much preferred. I actually thought Rise was the better game. I think
on the console.
I don't know, different.
And I imagine I'll have played it on the PS4. Lag.
You might have played it on the Xbox because remember it was exclusive for a while. Rise of the Tomb Raider had a year exclusivity.
Oh, yep, you are correct. I played it on the Xbox. The controller lag is probably the worst of any game I've
I never experienced this at all on the PC, so it must be a console thing.
So, and for anybody who doesn't know what that means, what I mean is, if I press jump and the character on the screen doesn't jump, ever, when you're trying to jump between this and that, and it's imperative that you jump at the right time, and when you press the button and that character doesn't jump, and then you die because the game didn't do what you told it to do, rather than you got it wrong. I've said I will stand by this. If I do something and fuck up and get it wrong, I'll never be angry about it. I can be angry with myself by going, oh, I pressed the wrong button.
It's basically artificial difficulty.
I pressed the wrong button. So that that's one thing. If I press the right button at the right time and you don't do what you're supposed to, then you can fuck off, because that is your only job. So that game for me started out badly and just careered into a
So I had a very different experience with that. I thought Rise was the better game. Again, the plot is absolute bollocks. But somehow Shadow was more bollocks.
So Shadow, one of the things about all of the Tomb Raider games is that they go, we want to show you how Lara can die in multiple different ways.
Someone somewhere is whacking off to that, and they must
Definitely. We want to show that we can be really creative, that she can die in different ways. Sometimes they do it in the same place. She could die like 3 or 4 different ways in the same place. But by the third one, they went, we've taken the time, we put a lot of time and effort into being creative around the ways that Lara dies. If you're playing the game and you don't die, then you won't see how much time and effort we put into this. So we're going to kill you a lot. And that's not going to be anything to do with you. We're just going to kill you.
There were quite a few bits in the game where I felt like I couldn't have known that I was going to you'll fall into a pit or something, but I couldn't really have.
How could I have predicted that? You couldn't. You were supposed to die. Sounds fun.
I just think it's just I know. I wasn't even expecting that much from it. And I was still disappointed.
Here's the way it works. So, Rise of the Tomb Raider, whatever it's called. They give you the controller, and they go, you can either play Rise of the Tomb Raider, or you can hit yourself in the face with this claw hammer. That's no brainer, isn't it? Give me Rise of the Tomb Raider, start playing. Whilst playing that game, you will do this. For all the audio listeners, they have no idea. Because that is, you will play that game and consider hitting yourself in the face.
I don't think it's that wretched. It's not a horrible game. It's just, you know what game it reminded me of, and I felt the same way about it. Arkham Knight, where I just played and I was like, it's kind of like the other two, only not as good. And I'm kind of bored, and we've used up all our ideas, and
there's a reason why they're not making any more of those games.
Yeah, but by the third Arkham game, it's like we've used up all the good villains, we've used up all the good stories, and now are resorting to using Calendar Man or whoever the fuck was in that game.
Condiment King.
I believe Man-Bat is in that game, but that's a point in its favour.
Man-Bat is in that, and you have to catch him as well.
Yeah, Man-Bat is great. Play it for Man-Bat.
I'd go with that. I'm happy to do that.
But yeah, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the only big budget game I played this year, and I was like,
oh, you've made me lethargic.
The only other game that I was psyched for, which I think you'll have a gushing review for, and mentioned, is Darksiders 3. I really like both the original Darksiders, particularly the first Darksiders game. It's just Zelda, but it's a really well-made game. It's really well designed. It still looks great, as well, because I recently played the original Darksiders, and honestly, considering it's 10 years old...
I bought the port recently, because I'm sure it was
the War Master, I got
£3.
I think I got upgraded for free on the PC, but it's point is, it looks pretty good.
Great game. I thoroughly enjoyed the first Darksiders.
The second one's a bit more flabby. I don't really like the loot design of it, but it's still a fun game. I
enjoy the second one as well. Darksiders 1 I've played a couple of times. Darksiders 2 I've played 3 or 4 times. I enjoyed the first 2 games. Do you really want to get into Darksiders 3?
Yes, because it's the most crushing disappointment of this year. I've not played it.
Hold my beer.
From what I gather, though, it's we were going to make Darksiders, but instead we made Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
And there's a lot of Dark Souls rip-offs at the moment.
I heartily suggest you check out Zero Punctuation's review of Darksiders 3 because it's pretty, as all Zero Punctuation reviews, it's pretty nailed on. Shout out to Zero Punctuation. Check out their review of Darksiders 3.
I'm sure most people have seen Zero, but it's been going for 10 years now, Zero Punctuation.
I'm about to review Darksiders 3, and by the way, I will say this, unlike Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I haven't played and I haven't finished Darksiders 3. I've played some of it, and I've reached a point where I've gone.
The reason I don't really get on with Dark Souls is I have a thing in games is that my biggest thing in games and the biggest number one rule is don't waste my fucking time. And Dark Souls is like, oh, did you fail? Like failing is its own punishment. Like, yeah, fine, I failed the boss, so I have to do the boss again. That's punishment enough. I don't have to run through 20 minutes of level to get to the boss to have another try for him to kill me in 2 swings.
Yeah, and you're already on the back foot because you lost everything you'd collected up to that point in Souls.
I mean, some people love Dark Souls. I appreciate that it's probably a really well-designed game, it's just not for me. And that's fine.
From what I'm led to believe, the game mechanics, the fight mechanics of the Dark Souls games are very good. I own and played the original Demon Souls
on the PS3.
On PS3.
Yeah.
I had an American copy of that game because you remember when PS3 was.
I own Demon Souls.
It was not region coded, so you could get the American version. And then I bought the British version, and I hated it. Because I kept playing it and going, I can't get further in this game, I can't. It was so infuriating. And then, hence, the Dark Souls sort of games came out, and I just stayed.
There's been a few then, like Neo's, like the Japanese sort of flavoured Dark Souls.
Surge.
The Surge is another very Dark Soulsy style game.
I bought that as well, played it.
So the point is, Lords of the Fallen, there's been all sorts of Dark Souls games.
Lords of the Fallen I actually quite enjoyed, but ultimately had the same.
The point, and also there's been Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3 and Bloodborne as well. So I feel like this is quite a reasonably well represented genre. And then obviously we've got Darksiders 3, that's like, from what I gather, it also doesn't understand why Dark Souls worked. But my problem is if I want a game like Darksiders, there's no games like that anymore. Like, what are there any like old, proper action adventure games anymore at all? Like, even Zelda's not Zelda anymore.
Zelda isn't Zelda anymore.
So if I want a game like that, I'm sort of shit out of luck. It's like I played Darksiders like maybe a few weeks back, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it honestly, it hasn't aged today, and it just made me think, why? I don't understand. Why couldn't we have made a game like this? Because then at least it would have a niche.
The conversation you and I had was that I was like, oh, Darksiders 3, super excited. I'd seen videos, I'd seen this, that, and the other. It's always, this is at a time when it's always before you get to find out what the game's actually like. So you just see like clips and snippets and super excited. Darksiders 1 and 2, great games, and then, just before it came out, you and I started talking that we were starting to hear rumblings that it wasn't like Darksiders or Darksiders 2. Like, that, as with anything like that, can go one of two ways. It can either be a good thing or a bad thing. We don't know anything.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get a Resident Evil 4 that like completely reinvigorates a franchise.
Yes. So then it was released and it had a lukewarm review.
Lukewarm would be, I think, very generous.
But something that the lukewarm review gave you was missing the actual review that was hidden behind what I imagine was a little bit of cash, which was, it's not Darksiders. It's Dark Souls. A game you didn't ask for. Did you ask for Dark Souls? No, you didn't. You asked for Dark Souls.
If you want Dark Souls, go and play Dark Souls. Loads of different versions, loads of Dark Souls games.
And you are correct when you say they really don't understand what makes those games tick. So they go, do you want one weapon? Because you've got one weapon. All right.
From what I gather, the biggest problem with it, and this was actually a problem in the original Darksiders games as well, is that the dodge doesn't really work properly. Because even in Darksiders 1 and 2, there weren't many iframes on your dodge, and you got hit all the time, but it didn't matter as much because you had massive health pools.
Yeah, you had a multitude of different weapons. You could
use. If a few enemy attacks got through on Darksiders 1 and 2, you could mostly face tank it.
Yeah, so in Darksiders 3, what it does is it goes, did you get hit by a tiny little enemy, like a skeleton? Did you get hit by a skeleton? Oh, you're dead.
And again, this doesn't even fit within the framework of the universe, because you're supposed to be playing the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And remember, in Darksiders 1, like skeletons, War could auto-kill those. Like, you just pick them up and stack them to pieces, and they were basically health pinatas.
Yeah. So we're already not on track, because we're also, something that I completely mind blanked, but up until I watched the Zero Punctuation thing was, this game fits in the timeline.
The timeline's always been kind of fucked up, to be honest.
So you go Darksiders. Darksiders 3 fits like here. It's happening simultaneous.
Darksiders 2 was simultaneous with the first one.
Darksiders 2 is over here and here and here. They drew a picture. It was very confusing. So this is supposed to be happening at the same time. You're supposed to be a horseman of the apocalypse, yet you can be killed by anything. Anything in that game can kill you, whether it's a boss or I met a skeleton in a
And you know what? If you want to do like a super dark fantasy world, where it's a really lethal world, like a Berserk, and for something like Dark Souls or Dragon's Dogma or something like that, that makes sense. It's a lethal world, and but that's not what Darksiders is. This ludicrous cartoon, comic book world. It's Spawn.
Yeah.
It's I'm trying to think of other stuff from that era, but it's basically a ludicrous, grimdark 90s comic book.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the first game you played War, and it took a hell of a lot to take you down.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
What you wanted.
Yeah, like God of War. In fact, honestly, it played quite a lot like God of War. The actual combat.
That's what you wanted from that game. Do you want a hack and slash game where you've got a few puzzles to do and you run around as like some massive bloke with a massive sword killing the shit out of stuff? Yeah, that's why.
Because Darksiders was basically what happened if you took Zelda and God of War and jammed them together.
Yeah.
It's got the combat's a lot more intricate than Zelda is. The puzzles and the dungeon design is less good, but I feel like the other parts of the game made up for it. I really love the art direction. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
It's really ageless as well, because you say I got a visual upgrade, but because of the way that it looks, it just looks great. Honestly, it does.
Yeah. So you're talking like Darksiders is great. I like Darksiders 2. Like I say, I think
I like Darksiders 2. I know some people do like it more. The RPG elements I do feel broke it.
So the question is, why did we end up with Darksiders 3?
And no one seems to be able to answer this question. No one, who is this for?
I got this because it was a gift, because I originally wanted it before it had come out, and before the reviews came out, and because this is the other thing, like I say, that original lukewarm review that it got, that wasn't the review either. The review came later, when other people went, hang on a minute, you told me to go and buy this game because it was 7.5 out of 10. But this isn't the game you told me it was. We've just been lied to from start to finish.
I don't even get. Again, the whole thing is so bizarre to me, because, the sort of people who buy Darksiders 3, the third game in a franchise, would presumably be the people who like Darksiders 1 and 2. And remember, Darksiders 2 came out a long time ago, a good 5 or 6 years ago now. So we're probably talking quite loyal fans of the series as well.
And let's not forget, the company that made it went out of business.
Yeah, THQ.
THQ went out of business, and this has been released by THQ Nordic, which is obviously when a company goes out of business, people pick over the bones, and I think there's certain franchises that have been kept on. Darksiders 3 is one that made the cut. Darksiders is a franchise that made the cut from, we don't want Saints Row anymore. But we'll keep Darksiders going.
What's the other one?
Okay.
Red Faction, I believe that was THQ. That's got a War Mastered Edition. No, what was it? Remastered Edition. That was it.
Fucking love that game. That's on my list. Top 10 games. That's on.
But yeah, Darksiders 3 is probably the most disappointment I felt this year, just because it was that. I think of all the games, it was the one I was most excited
for. Don't get my
for.
hopes up about something. This is what I mean about Anthem. It's like, I know I'm going to be disappointed, because that's what games are these days. Speaking of which, we can either talk about the other game I'm super excited about, which I'm definitely going to be disappointed by, or we can talk about Just Cause 4.
Let's do Just Cause 4, because I would also like to do a shout out to some genuinely excellent games. I won't go into them too much detail, but just good games that people should maybe give a look at, especially because they're indie games that might not get that much attention. So it's good to give them a bit of...
I'm honestly, especially the way you talk about the indie game market, and like I say, I've skirted around the edges, but I'm honestly thinking that I maybe need to start getting more into indie games, because by the sounds of it, that's where the good games are.
The thing with an indie game is that, yes, you're looking at a smaller budget game, so it's not going to have all your voice acting and all that sort of stuff. But if someone's got an idea and a concept they want to do, there's not much overhead. You don't have a load of investors to...
I played an indie game. I think it was an indie game. And it was like a guy, and he had a blue scarf, and he had powers and he could fly around and stuff. And I think it was like a freebie on the PS3.
Are you talking about Journey?
No.
That's not strictly an indie game. It sort of falls in the middle, Journey.
Journey is just beautiful, and if you've got like 3 hours playing it...
I played Journey, it's great, yeah.
Beautiful. I really enjoy that. The what's the wolf thing? It's got a Japanese name.
Okami.
Yeah.
Okami is an old game. It's not an indie game, because obviously it was a really big budget game back in 2006. It's a great game. It's completely ageless again, because its art design is so that's been really sort of absolutely everything in its dog. So I've owned Okami 4 times. I had on the PS2, I got the Wii version for free. I then bought the PS3 remaster, and then I bought it again on the PC. So I've owned it 4 times. They've had the money out of me for Okami.
And we wonder why games like that do well, and they want to sell you Fallout 76.
Or Just Cause 4.
Speaking of which, so
I've heard it's absolutely terrible.
Just Cause 1, I loved. I really, really, really enjoyed Just Cause 1.
The second one seems to be the one that everyone remembers.
Just Cause 2, I also enjoyed. That's about the point in time that we stopped making good games in the Just Cause franchise, and then we released Just Cause 3. Now, here's where things go wrong. Just Cause 3 had this concept where you go, I'm running into this area and I've got my gun and I've got my grapple and I've got my parachute and I've got my wingsuit and I'm running into this area, I'm dead. Okay, wait for it to load. Okay, it's loaded. Alright, I've got my gun, I've got my parachute, I've got my wingsuit, running into the area, I'm dead. That's kind of a bit annoying. Okay, got my wingsuit, parachute, gun, I'm dead. Well, this isn't fun. So that was Just Cause 3. The reason that I ended up hating that game was because that game hated me. There's this theory that certain games are made by certain game developers that hate gamers.
Like there's sometimes when I wonder, it's like, how has this got past like a tester? Like an enforced stealth section with auto failing. It's like, how is this still a thing?
Everybody's favourite. So, Just Cause 3 ruined the Just Cause franchise for me. Swore I'd never go down that rabbit hole again. Which brings us to Just Cause 4. So I'm like, Just Cause 4's coming out, don't give a shit, don't care. Oh, but that video looks mildly interesting. That sounds quite cool. Oh, it's got like weather. Oh, different weather. Oh, okay. They've upgraded this. It's a better game, all right. Okay. Somebody I know, they got it. Oh, Just Cause 4 is great. Right, okay, I'll put it on the Christmas list. So I got it and I played it, and it's the same. It's Just Cause 3 again, because I've cleared 95% of the map and I'm down to like the last couple of bits, and there is a mission that I cannot physically do. So that game is done for me. I've stopped playing that game because I can't pass.
That's still pretty good. I mean, how many hours have you had out of it?
Not many. It's
Alright.
not difficult to clear areas on the map. It's very lacking. Don't get me wrong. There's fun. There's fun in it. You know, you got your wings shockers. You've got your wingsuit. You've got your parachute. You've got upgraded tethers now, so you can attach balloons to things and they float away. You can attach a balloon and a rocket so it'll float away faster, sort of thing. And there's a lot of fun to be had doing that shit for 9 hours. But it's empty. You know, it's like clear
I've heard it's just a big budget.
Clear this area of the map. Okay. Which involves you doing a mission, and that area is clear. So, you know, it's like 30 missions or something. The missions are just like, go over there. Okay. Press a button. Okay. Shoot a guy. Okay. Shoot another guy. Alright. Do that for like 30 minutes because the missions, like, it's like, hack a computer. Okay. And then it just drags on and on and on. It's like, wow, this mission really needs to end. It's just, again, games that should have been done differently, games that should have been done better. It's, like I say, I've got to a point where I'm stuck and I can't get past it. But it's so, if this game had come out 5 years ago, it'd be acceptable. If it had come out longer, it'd be more acceptable. This game made me so angry that I turned it off, was like, so the 2 games I got for Christmas is Just Cause 4 and Darksiders 3, and they can both go fuck themselves. So do you know what? I'm going to play a game that when I put it in and it told me when the last time I'd saved it was, I haven't played for 4.5 years. And I put it on, and I started playing it, and it made me even more angry than I was when I stopped playing the other 2. Because I put Infamous Second Son on.
We've come on. I was wondering what Infamous Second Son was.
I put that on because I was like, I fancy playing that. I haven't played that in a while. 2014, April 2014 was the last time I played it. That wasn't when it came out because I've played that game loads.
I was going to say, it was a PS3 game, wasn't it?
It was PS4 launch title.
Was it?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And do you know something? That game is beautiful. And I put that on and I started playing it, and like they've done all the really good motion capture. It is beautiful, and it's 5 years old.
Things aren't moving as quickly as they used to, though, in general, in the games market. Because I would say that this whole generation has basically treaded water.
Yeah. How much more of an advancement is the PS4 to the PS3?
No. Well,
how much more is the Xbox One to the 360?
Because I always think is that when I look back in time and I think of games that made me go, holy fucking shit. And the Generation Leap used to do that to me. As in, when I first saw Mario 64, I was like, holy fucking shit, it's the future. And then on the PS2, I saw Final Fantasy X, and I was like, surely graphics can't get any better than this. This is completely nuts. And then I saw Gears of War on a HD TV, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Surely things can't get better.
That is what should happen when you move generations.
And then the new generation came out and I was like,
Oh, it's just a little bit better. Let's not forget that this generation has been the generation of remakes.
Well, not even remakes, just ports, basically.
So HD ports of games that we've had from years ago. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm the first person in line to buy 90% of those games because I've got nothing else to play, because this generation has been so incredibly lacking. At this moment in time, I would say, like, what games are you playing at the moment? I'm playing Infamous Second Son, 5-year-old game. I'm playing Hitman, because as I might have mentioned, Hitman 2 told me to play Hitman. So I'm playing Hitman apparently. Still haven't got to anything in Hitman 2. And because it went, you should play the first one, obviously none of the missions are available now, and I went, you know what, you can fuck right off. I own Hitman, so I've downloaded Hitman from my library and I'm playing that. Because, you know, I wanted to play Hitman 2.
I don't think that you should feel, especially now with the way the downloadable stuff is, I don't think you should feel bound to new games, particularly I'd say on Steam, because you can just play anything from years and years and years ago. I played Trails in the Sky not long ago, and that came out in 2004. And, it's a good game, and all I had to do was download it. It was no difficulty.
Yeah. Something I've actually quite enjoyed. I didn't enjoy playing Hitman because I was very angry at Hitman. And I'm gonna let you into something.
You seem a very angry man in general.
I am a very angry man in general. I'm gonna let you into something. I have a Hitman tattoo.
I'm sure you do. Somewhere on your extremely tattooed body.
In my collection of tattoos, I have a Hitman tattoo. Probably a fan of the Hitman series, and it wasn't after the first one. It was, during the time of the Hitman franchise. I have got a Hitman tattoo.
It's been pretty popular for. I know it's been one of those things. It's been solid releases for pretty much for at least 15 years.
So obviously, I think I have that little bit more of a right to be, angry or pissed off when they don't do a good Hitman game. Hitman, what is now being called Hitman 1, which isn't Hitman 1. We're going to give you 4 missions to start with, and then we're going to give you the rest on a monthly basis.
That's how they did the first one, though, didn't they? They did that as episodic content.
Yeah, so that's what they did, and I was like, it's ain't the fucking piss. Because I spent £130 on the special edition version of that game, and for my £130, I got an amazing, don't get me wrong, an amazing statue. It's like huge as far as statues go, and then spent 10 minutes scrabbling through the box trying to find the game. What do you mean? Why is there no game? Oh, it's a digital download. Didn't even get a box and a game and a disc. It was a digital download.
So, what would you say then, after all this bitching, is your game of the year then?
I don't fucking care.
Is it even that bad? It's not.
What?
It feels like Assassin's Creed Odyssey might actually be the one that you've actually given the most lip service.
It could actually be. Go back. Me and JK.
It's the reason I've not mentioned both that and RD and Red Dead Redemption, because I know you've talked about them a lot elsewhere.
Fucking Red Dead Redemption can suck the fat one. Because you know what's the best thing about Red Dead Redemption 2? All the people that went on about how much it was going to be the best game ever made and how much they loved it when it came out. It could be the best game ever made. All of those people now are going, you know what, I think I might trade Red Dead Redemption 2 in. Oh, really? I could talk about Red Dead Redemption and how fucking awful it is for a long time. And it's not awful, it's got really great elements, but it's the longest, dullest, poorly made game you'll ever play.
I know you described both it and No Man's Sky as my anti-games, just being
collect 50 bare asses the game.
Big, empty, make your own fun, and I can't be doing with it. I need something a lot more immediate to.
Yeah, there's the mechanics of Red Dead Redemption 2 are so broken, and in this day and age, that is so unacceptable.
I hear the shooting is bollocks.
Oh, do you want to press 3 buttons to shoot a gun? No. Tough. You got to cock the gun, you got to load the gun, you got to shoot, you got to aim the gun, you got to shoot the gun. Sounds fun, doesn't it? My game, you could be right. Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
It's the only game I think I've actually heard you not just absolutely lay the shoe into.
Do you know what's interesting about Assassin's Creed Odyssey? There's no hidden blade.
Yeah, and I know it's very, very tangentially related to Assassin's Creed.
It's like Assassin's Creed here, and then this game is here.
Because I've been tempted to pick it up because I like the ancient Greece.
So you asked me.
It can either be Origins or Odyssey, because I know I wouldn't want to play both. They're too samey.
I slightly knowing the way you are about games, I recommended Origins in the end because I was like, I think you would enjoy that slightly more. But Odyssey could be my game.
I do like the theme of Odyssey. I do like the ancient Greece sort of theme. That's quite neat.
Well, any situation can be resolved with 2 men having sex.
Apparently, if you play the lady, it can be resolved with 2 ladies having sex too.
I missed the trick there because I didn't know that was a thing. Odyssey could be the game of the year for me, and don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed God of War, but I really enjoyed Spider-Man, but I really enjoyed some of the games that came out this year. The only thing I have left to cover is I've teased the other game that I'm looking forward to this year that I keep googling the release date for. There still isn't a release date for it, but I'm super excited, which means I'll be super disappointed. My Friend Pedro.
Oh, this actually leads in quite nicely because that's done by Devolver Digital, is the publisher,
Yep.
and Devolver Digital I would put them as being probably the best publisher in the business at the moment. They've got a real knack for seeing really interesting conceptual games. Because when I go through it's going to be basically a Sam's 5 indie games that he thought were great this year. I think 3 of them are Devolver Digital published them.
So this game is a game that flashed up on my radar a little while ago, and all I heard was, do you want to play a game that makes you feel like Deadpool? And if I was looking over here and that was said over there, I would have done this. Yes I do. Well, this is the game for you, My Friend Pedro. I saw this could be a year ago that this happened.
I know it's coming out on the Switch.
It's coming out on the Switch and the PC. And it's
that seems to be where Devolver Digital sell things these days.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna buy a Switch game. That's how that works. For anybody who doesn't know, My Friend Pedro is a side-scrolling. You look a little bit like Deadpool. You seem to have like a mask, and then it's like a black and yellow, almost like a tracksuit. I don't know, like a jacket and trousers. And it is bullet time, jumping through the air, shooting people.
I guess it's a twin stick shoot. It's not quite clear exactly how it controls, but
in slow motion, there's like bits where you get on a skateboard and you roll along on the skateboard, and then you can like kick the skateboard into guys' faces. You can kick a guy's head into another guy, and it just looks super fun. It looks like, in a lot of ways, not my sort of game, and in a lot of ways, my sort of game. It just looks fun, entertaining games. Pedro's a banana, and that you could end there by going Pedro's.
I believe it's out in the first quarter of this year.
But they still haven't nailed down that release date, and I'm like, just give me a clue. Is it in the next couple of months? Because like I said, I'm super excited, and that means I'm going to be horribly disappointed.
I don't know. Like I said, Devolver seem to really know their stuff at the moment.
I've sat and watched here's 18 minutes of My Friend Pedro.
Did you see their press conference at E3? Because both this year and last year it was amazing. They just ripped the shit out of the game industry. But
somebody needs to, because I started this podcast by saying, game developers or game publishers or whoever it is that's
I think it's
making
publishers
games.
more, because I think developers, I don't think any game developer goes into a project and says, let's make a shit game.
You got time to make a shit game? I was working on a really good one.
What I suspect management do is say, that game you've got, how about can we fuck it up somehow, please, so we can monetize this and make it
How
less.
do we make more money from it? And how do we make more money faster? Well, I was polishing it. I don't do that. I was making the controls work well. Don't like the sound of that. That sounds like.
But we want to release it 6 months early and basically in a broken state. So you might have to not do that.
Who's going to give me millions and millions of dollars for this game if we don't put it out soon? The people that put you in the position of being in a $1 million company. Those are the people that are going to give you all that money. And unfortunately, I am one of those people. I happily hand over my hard-earned cash to buy bullshit fucking games that are horribly broken, that look like utter horseshit. See Just Cause 4, by the way. I am so disappointed. Do you know how technology works? technology's supposed to get better.
The technology is getting better, but I can't help but feel like we're due. I'm not going to say a crash, but I think we're due a wobble in the industry.
Something needs to happen.
I think it will as well.
I think that Fallout 76 could. I said to you,
Fallout 76 is a real fad show.
That felt like the start of something, because every now and then you'll hear, "Oh, this game company or this game developer."
Star Wars Battlefront 2 last year.
That was another one.
Caused a lot of aggro.
Oh, it's going to take
Battlefield 1 as well. Not Battlefield 1. Battlefield 5 has sold extremely poorly. It's probably still sold comparatively well. But you know what I mean, compared to other games, but compared to its predecessor, I think it's sold maybe half as much.
The problem you've got is, like we were saying at the time, like these terrible games that come out that still sell and they're still money makers. You know, is Fallout 76? They've just slapped Fallout 76 sticker on the box of Fallout 4. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, they basically
put a broken online portion to it. But all these franchises have got a lot of inertia. Like Sonic games still sell, and most Sonic games, apart from Sonic Mania, were absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very disappointed with where we're at this point in time, because
I'm definitely disappointed in the big, because I always say, as much as I like to talk about your indie games, a man cannot live on indie alone.
No.
Sometimes you need something with a bit more substance, because a lot of these games have got a neat core idea, but you know what I mean. You want something a bit bigger, a bit more impressive, rather than a pixel art platformer. You know what I mean?
What was your best game of 2018?
My best game of 2018 was probably Crosscode.
I was going to say, if I was going to pick something that I thought you would say, that's the game you spoke of the most, with the most. Oh, it's just great. It's
amazing game. It's kind of a hodgepodge of different genres. It's set. Did you ever play Sword Art Online or Dot Hack? So it's sort of set in an MMO, but it itself is not an MMO. It plays like a action RPG / Zelda-like. But the dungeon design on it is amazing. It's a really long game, and if you're into action RPGs like Secrets of Mana or Terranigma or anything like that, then absolutely pick it up. It's a fantastic Zelda-like with really excellent RPG mechanics, and I would thoroughly recommend it. Probably the best Zelda-like we've had in 10 years. It's amazing. Really hard though, so if you're not into puzzles, some of the puzzles are really tough. But that was an amazing game. That was pure indie as well. I don't think that even had a publisher. That was about 7 years in the making, made by one guy. He might have had someone do the music or something, but mostly it's been done by one guy. Other great games I played this year: Into the Breach. I believe that's on the Switch as well. That's done by the same guys who made FTL, and it's a really small strategy game. So like you've got maybe like a grid, like maybe I think it's about say 10 by 10, and rather than playing like a pure strategy game, it plays in some ways more like a puzzle or chess game. So it's little short levels of strategy where you have to push enemies and pull enemies. So you might have like a robot that can do like an area of attack, but another robot that can push things, and it's all about making all your components work together to kill all the enemies before they kill you. Or really, really, really well made, and it feels like the Switch is the perfect place for it. So you can do a level in 10 minutes, but trust me, you won't be playing it for 10 minutes. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You've been playing it for. It's also got I feel like it's got a roguelike element to it as well. So most of the time you will lose.
All right.
But like FTL, it just you think I'll do better next time. Fuck, it's 3 in the morning. Amazing game. One I played very recently is The Messenger, which I thought was fantastic and would almost get my game of the year. But I think Crosscode just about. That's essentially that's a 2D pixel art platformer, but don't fall asleep just yet. It plays the first bit is essentially an 8-bit game that plays a lot like Ninja Gaiden, but the controls are pitch perfect. Someone spent a lot of time refining those controls. Difficulty is perfect. You know what I mean? It's tough, but you never feel like you're overwhelmed. So you think you'll get to a boss and you'll die, and you'll get to a boss and get quite far through and die. You're like, I'll get that guy next time. 10 times later, you beat him, but you always feel like you're making progress. Then, about halfway through, the game switches, as in you get flung into the future, and suddenly the game switches to a more Metroidvania style, some more exploratory platform. You've got a map, there's a lot of backtracking, but the art style completely changes, the music completely changes, as in like there are 16-bit remixes of all of the 8-bit theme tunes, but such a well-made game. I'm possibly not selling it. Watch the trailer, again, Devolver Digital did that one, so they really know what they're doing.
And, this just brings me back to that sort of thing of where you're just like, oh man, these big game companies that churn out the same. Yeah, you've got your Assassin's Creed issue. I loved the fact that the Ubisoft were taking a year off, or taking some time off making Assassin's Creed games. And we were like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, okay. And then a year later, they were like, we're going to release the game. It's called Origins, and this is the premise of it. It's like the first Assassin. It's like, going to be Egypt. And they're like, oh, that year off really worked. And then 6 months after that, I'll release another Assassin's Creed. It's like, no, too soon, no.
And that's what I mean. It's like just the big budget game industry keeps on churning the same shit out. Whereas at least in the indie market, there's these like The Messenger and like Into the Breach. They've got this core idea, and the whole game is built around that central idea. And it's all about refining that idea to its purest form. And that's why it plays so well.
Here's how it works. When you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth, you brush your teeth and you got that minty fresh taste in your mouth, and you're like, ooh, I've got nice clean teeth. And then somebody goes, do you want a piece of chocolate? You're like,
some orange juice.
No, I've just brushed my teeth. Do you want some orange juice? No, I just brushed my teeth. Do you want to have your breakfast after you've brushed your teeth? No, I don't. That's how it works. If it was, I brushed my teeth at 8 o'clock and it's now 12 o'clock, yeah, hit me up with a piece of chocolate. Give me some orange juice. Let's do this. But as I'm putting the toothbrush back in the pot, do you want some orange juice or chocolate? No. It's kind of like that. It's kind of the principle of give us the opportunity to enjoy something. That was my early issue with Odyssey. I was like, it's too soon. I don't need this game now. I can still taste Origins. Let me just enjoy it for a little while longer. And then I gave Odyssey a not glowing review.
But again, I've heard solid things about it, and I probably will give it a go at some point when I'm a little bit more responsive to it. I think maybe basically it's cheaper.
I played that game for something like, was it like? It could be like 80 hours. It's a long game, It's in the 100 hours club. I know that much.
I think the only game that got 100 hours plus out of me is The Witcher 3.
Towards the back end of that game, I was a little, I kind of need this to end. Unlike Red Dead Redemption 2, when I got a third of the way through it and went, I kind of need this game to end now. And it just wouldn't fucking end. And about 60-80% of that game, you just is it finished yet? Has it ended? And it just wouldn't end. That is the ever. I didn't
like the first Red Dead Redemption.
Neither did I. I hated the first one. And then somebody convinced me to get the DLC for a game I hated. And I was able to hate it more. That's right.
I liked watching it. I like the story. I like the characters, but I never found it much fun to play.
No.
There's a couple other games I'd just like to give a shout out if I feel like we're coming to the end here. The last couple I'd like to throw out to is Time Spinner, which again is on Steam. I think that's on the Switch as well, but I don't think it's on the PS4. They seem to all be on Switch and PC. If you ever play Castlevania Symphony of the Night, it's Castlevania Symphony of the Night. But since that came out, probably nearly 20 years ago, I feel like we could probably do another one now. And it's a really well made Metroidvania with RPG elements, and it's just really, really... It's not that original, but what it does extremely well. It's about 6 to 10 hours long, really well designed, brilliant art, brilliant music, looks great. And the last game I want to talk about, which I'm not going to give a glowing review for, but it is absolutely fascinating, is a game called The Missing, J.J. MacLeod and the Island of Memories. The core conceit of this game is it's a 2D puzzle platformer, but again, don't fall asleep. The idea of this one is that you get struck by lightning a few minutes in and cannot die. So what you've got to do is get through the game while horribly maiming yourself. So like I said, like an early example, like to hit a switch, you might have to pull off your own limb and throw it in the air. But like, there's a bit where like there's in complete darkness. So it's like, I know what I have to do. I have to set myself on fire! And you're just shrieking in agony all the way through this. It's got some real tonal problems. Because it's like, it tries to tell this very serious story as well. It's all basically, this will either turn you on or turn you off to the game, but it deals with, themes of depression and LGBT issues and stuff like that. That'll either turn you on or off to it. But the core idea of it is fascinating. Like, there's a bit where you can get yourself hit by buzzsaws, so you're just ahead, and you've just got to roll around like the morph ball in Metroid. And it's so... I can't decide whether I'm supposed to take it seriously, because the bits where you're being horribly maimed are fucking hilarious. It obviously is hilarious.
Yeah.
And I played it, and I don't think the puzzles are all that, and I do think the tone is all over the place. But I can say, will I remember it? Yeah. It's an extremely memorable game.
There you go. What more do you want?
My main problem is it's very expensive. It's £25, and I think that's outrageous for an indie platformer that'll take you 5 hours to complete with no replayability whatsoever. I got, I think, a third off, and even then I felt a bit robbed by it. I feel like an indie game, that £10 to £15 mark feels like the right size for those
sweet
smaller.
Spot, isn't it?
Yeah, and £25, that's proper game territory at that point. So I will say, while I'm mentioning it, I won't give it an unequivocal recommend. Just, this is kind of neat, and if you see it on the cheap, it might be worth giving a go.
Okay, there we go. Like I say, I feel I probably need to get into this indie game market, because it sounds like that's where
it's where the innovation is.
The real money is. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, games just need to pull their socks up and...
They're in a really bad place at the moment, and 2018 has been a
huge slump. Something that we could potentially end on. I don't know if you'd heard this, or if I'd mentioned it to you, or if I'd seen something, because I'd seen something and I'd seen something. Apparently, February the 15th, I believe, is going to be a record-breaking day in the games world, because it's going to be the day that has the most games released on the same day.
Okay.
So the 15th of February this year.
What's coming out?
They were saying that there were 6 games that were being released.
Big games?
Yeah. There was...
I don't even know what's coming out.
So
they're releasing Crackdown 3?
Crackdown 3. I think it's the day that Anthem's released as well.
Crackdown 3 is never coming out.
It's
going to be mark my words, it's going to be a launch title for the new Xbox.
But I think they worked out that there was 8 games coming out on that day. And they said it's going to be a world record.
I can't even think of anything that's... It feels like most publishers have kind of blown their load recently.
I know that there was a load of indie games that they're counting, but it's like Crackdown 3 and Anthem, I believe, on the same day.
What's Nintendo got in the pipeline? You can never count out Nintendo.
Don't know.
But it feels like, they've had a terrible year.
More Pokemons?
Nah, they've released a Pokemon, so you're not going to see one for another 3 or 4 years. If there's one thing you can say about Nintendo... They don't annualise their franchises. Like, we say Mario Odyssey came out in 2017, and when was the last Mario game? 2013 maybe, on the Wii U? Mm. Nintendo, for all of their many faults, they do generally release a game that's finished.
Complete game.
A complete game that's finished. And
DLCs.
They do sometimes have DLC, but the DLC is, on top of an already very complete game. But it feels like I can't even think what they've got in the pipeline, because all they released this year was Pokemon and Smash. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's ports. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze got a release.
Yep.
Beyond that, I think this year is actually going to be really, really bad. The reason I think it's going to be bad is because I think we're running up to a new console generation.
There was a couple of announcements, not full announcements, but
I would assume that we're getting the PS4 and the new Xbox end of 2019.
There was this game producer has confirmed they are already working on a game for the next generation.
Because that'll make those consoles 6 years old, which feels about right.
Yeah.
Because the PS3 and the Xbox 360 lasted 8 years, but they felt really long in the tooth by the end.
Yeah, and we got a lot of stuff that went from PS3 to PS4. The Last of Us felt like it
was very much a crossover.
They should have probably held on.
Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider got a...
because I own both versions. There was a lot of stuff that it was like, oh, we're releasing it here, but we're also going to re-release it again. Assassin's Creed Black Flag got 2 releases.
It wouldn't shock me if we did that with stuff like Red Dead Redemption as well. Get people to double dip. We did it with GTA 5.
Yeah.
I think this year is going to be a wind down for most of the publishers. I think they're going to be concentrating on getting...
It's difficult, isn't it?
Well, if you think about the last year of the PS3 and Xbox 360, they were terrible. What came out in 2013?
You think about The Last of Us as... The Last of Us was a really sneaky move because the PS3 had The Last of Us and it was probably one of the best games the PS3 ever had.
I always wanted to play it and I never did. I lost my PS3 in the divorce settlement and it was gone by that point.
I own it on the PS4. You should definitely get it on that action because it is fantastic. It's
another one of the many PS4 exclusives I'd love to give a go. I want to give I'd like to give Uncharted 4 a go. That looks like really good fun.
It's not.
I'm sure I would enjoy it, to be honest, because I enjoyed all the other Uncharted games.
Oh, then you'll love it.
I'm not going to pretend it's high art, but they're good, honest, well-made action-adventure games.
Yep. Yeah. I loved the second one. Wasn't a huge fan of the first and not really liked any of those. But
I wouldn't be surprised if Anthem is basically about all you're going to get out of this year. So there's a big... Yeah, there'll be another Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft will do their yearly... there'll be yearly franchises.
Yeah, they will.
But in general, in terms of interesting big budget games, I think it's just going to be a holding pattern this year. Which doesn't mark it very well because this year wasn't exactly hot shit either. So.
No, it wasn't. Cool.
We're done there, so...
Let's knock that puppy on its head.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye, love you, bye.
So there you go. What do you think to that? 2018 in the bag. Games done. Not the best year of games. Incidentally, 2019 is already shaping up to be quite a good year for games. Tune in to James Plays to see what's coming out in 2019. So yeah, that's 2018 done. Kind of good riddance, me thinks. For you YouTube watchers, subscribe, click for notifications, leave us a comment. Everybody should jump over to the Cookiecast.com, check out the social media feed, send them some social media love, send us an email. Tell us what was your favourite game of 2018, or were you spoilt for choice with what the least favourite game was? So yeah, until next time, I'll say goodbye and I'll see you then. Bye bye.